Scott Junn's a bit of a toxic hypocrite, so let's talk about it. I recently tweeted about some stuff that happened as a result of tunneling. As usual, survivors were upset because I wanted to win a PvP game. A PvP game that they also wanted to win. The person in Game 1 got passive-aggressive at me for how I played, and the person in Game 2 was just outright insulting me. Of course, Twitter being Twitter, nobody cared about how I was treated after the game. Only that I tunneled and camped, and that I was complaining about survivor builds while running meta myself. According to them anyway. Twitter seems to have a bit of a media literacy issue. They saw pretty colors and big circles, so just assumed that I was complaining about the perks and items I highlighted. The pretty circles only showed the strong stuff survivors used, because bringing strong stuff means they wanted to win. Just like me. They brought Dead Hards, D-Strikes, and Unbreakable among other things. And despite bringing all of that, they still got angry at me for beating them. Nobody cared that the survivors wanted to win. Nobody cared that they brought meta. And nobody cared that they were taking their feelings out on their opponent after the game. All that mattered to them was that I was a killer who brought meta and tunneled, which justified the survivors treating me however they want. Even Scott Junn himself was in on it. Yes, Scott Junn was in the thread calling me a hypocrite and saying that it's fine for salty survivors to vent to their killers. The DPD community is so comfortable with treating killers poorly for just wanting to win that one of its biggest creators is comfortable with participating in that behavior. And, in case there's any confusion, trauma dumping to your opponent after a game about what a bad time you had is toxic. Sorry you had a bad time, but your feelings are not my responsibility. Cut that shit out. As with most commenters, Scott completely ignored or justified the survivors' attitudes towards me because of the fact that I ran full meta and used a toxic playstyle. To his credit, he wasn't hoping for my death, but he still missed the point entirely. More than that, he actually justified the toxic behavior of survivors because playing meta as killer is bad. Killers stop playing meta or using actual strategy immediately. It's bad and evil, and Scott Junn does not approve. A little camping and tunneling is how this all got started. So before we get into Scott's bullshit, let me get you up to speed with the games in question. Please keep in mind that the two clips you're about to watch are why survivors were so upset at me. You've been watching Game 1 this whole time, and you'll notice 5 hook states as I chase Gabe. Dwight has 1, Carlos has 2, and Ace has 0. The 2 on Carlos were in a row, but I left him to put states on the others. Gabe's were in a row as well, but they unhooked him when I was still near. This was, of course, by design. I put him on a very central hook intentionally. If anyone's mad at me for applying pressure to their objective while defending mine, they don't understand Dead by Daylight. I could have been nice and let him go, but I'd already been nice before, and killing is what's fun to me, so I took him out. Spoilers, but Carlos, who was death hooked from the very start, was the last person to die. Shame that being nice isn't enough unless you let all 4 survivors make it to endgame. Now, Game 2 is way more interesting. 2 people were lurking with flashlights, but I'm a beast, so I went for the pickup anyway. I get the hook, normal enough, and yeah. And ooh, I'm tiny, yeah. But what do we have here? Nia is looping around the hook. Survivors, do not ever do this. This is 2 survivors, not on gens, and you're negating the resolve meter, so there's no reason for the killer to ever leave. Especially when the hook timer is almost done. Leaving means giving a free save and wasting the time I spent guarding my hook. Eventually, the entire team comes in for the save, and evil, tunneling, camping asshole that I am, I left the death hook thing men who no longer had endurance. This is why I don't take the goons that cry about this game seriously. You can literally leave a free kill to keep the game going and still get bitched at. I've had teams where I secure a kill at 3 gens get mad when I let them 2-out me. It's never enough. Now that we've established what the tweets are about, let's get into what you came here for, and dive into Scott's bullshit while the full game's playing in the background. After seeing my tweet, Scott Junn told me that both sides were hypocrites, which, to be fair, he's half right, because them getting mad at me for how I played, while bringing stuff to help them win is pretty strange. I had him elaborate on how I was a hypocrite and how I complained, to which he replied, "It's because I highlighted the things survivors brought." You would highlight them unless you thought they were strong or meta. Yeah. Thanks, Scott. That's exactly why I highlighted them. To show that the other side brought strong stuff, and to juxtapose their willingness to use whatever they want to win against their complaints at me for doing the exact same thing. No shit, I highlighted the things they brought that I thought were strong to support my argument. It ties into my main point. After this, Scott got into his semantics bullshit asking where the survivors complained, which just confirms he didn't actually fully check the tweet before opening his big mouth. We'll go in order though. The ace hit me with a, "What the fuck?" I guess that's one way to play the game, which is a passive-aggressive remark against the way I played. There's no positive interpretation of that statement. It's clearly a complaint, and arguing otherwise is just disingenuous semantics. The Nia saying I tunneled and camped and calling me a disgrace is a little harder to defend, and suspiciously enough, was not brought up. He either left it out intentionally because it doesn't support his point, or he didn't read the tweet and was just talking out of his ass. Either way, pretty bad look. Why is Scott trying so hard to debate me here? I called him on his semantics because, we all know this, the ace was passively and aggressively complaining. I also showed him the other person that straight up insulted me, and he completely ignores it to go to a different topic. Instead of acknowledging that he had it wrong, or that the survivor should not have complained, he tries to go to a new topic because he can't win the one that he picked. He'd rather ignore the actual issue of survivors talking shit over nothing, so he can try and win an argument. It's sad, but I played a strong killer in a sweaty way, so I must be the bad guy.
Mr. Zanryu, the Zanryu DVD gaming Zanryu guy, but I ask, do you claim to have never complained ever in your entire life about a survivor?
Yeah, man, great question. Very relevant. He's trying so badly to be right here. It was honestly heartbreaking watching Stage 4 Debate Brain take over him live. I hope he can make a full recovery. For the record, debates are fine. It's just that debating against the exposure of bad behavior is a pretty weird choice, especially when doing it under the pretense that bad behavior is okay if it's done to someone playing in a way that you don't like. I let Scott know that the only issue I have with complaining is when it's done directly to your opponent. Nobody cares if you bitch and moan to the void or your stream or whatever, but when you push your negativity onto someone else just because they beat you in a game, that is a problem, and survivors especially are way too comfortable doing it. Is that really any surprise, though, when even Scott Junt himself is excusing it? You people that cry in the EGC or go to someone's stream need to get a fucking life, by the way. Scott Junt endorsing it does not make it the right move. Could you imagine crying to your bully about the way he took your lunch money? Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, does it? And the bully analogy may seem out of place to normal people, but this is genuinely how some survivors see the killer. Okay, this next part is actually what gets me a little bit heated, because it's a microcosm of the complete lack of accountability so many survivors have.
If you just got yapped at and moved on, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Do you see how he just skirts over the fact that I'm the one getting yapped at? You see how he puts the responsibility on me to not talk about how people acted towards me? All because he doesn't want to fuel some us versus them fire? Scott, you genuine, absolute, and complete fucking moron. Did it ever occur to you that the people bitching might be the issue instead of the person exposing the behavior?
Hey, look, those guys are being assholes, but you shouldn't tell anybody, because then they'll look like assholes.
The people acting like shitheads have the same agency as you or I do. If you don't want people sharing when others act like shitheads, they shouldn't act like shitheads in the first place. I've tried to be respectful, but it's getting really hard when it's like I'm talking to River Silver Jr. Anyway, he compares me exposing the behavior to the behavior itself, and says I should keep it to myself. Of course, that's not how that works. I shared interactions I had with people, the same as I do with my videos, and the same as I'm doing with this one. If those interactions don't happen, I have nothing to share. People are fully capable of not getting salty, but they do, and thus, my channel exists. Maybe Scott has a point though. Maybe I shouldn't be sharing his debate brain Twitter takes. But I guess it's too late to unring that bell.
I mean, if you're gonna sit there and tell me you're posting a massively weird tweet featuring a us versus them moment is not adding fuel to the fire, then you're incredibly disingenuous, and there's no point in furthering this conversation. I told Scott the same as I just told you. It's the people exhibiting the behavior, and not the people exposing it, that are fueling this us versus them fire he's talking about. Mr. Zanryu, you can't just tell me that a massively viewed tweet featuring an us versus them moment isn't fueling the fire.
Hey, first of all, thank you. I guess I'm a big Twitter guy now. Second of all, why is some us versus them issue all Scott cares about, and why is it more important than the actual behavior I'm showcasing?
Hey, I know someone was disrespectful towards you, but you're the bad guy for talking about it.
This is twice now that Scott has pinned responsibility on me instead of the people complaining over a game. Sorry, Scott, but suck my soggy nuts because I'm gonna fuel that fire. Your boy's cold. You're feeding into the exact issue that I have with most survivors, which is that nothing is their fault. Nobody ever wants to be accountable for what they say or do because the killer made them do it by playing in a way they don't like. Killer tunneled, bitch in his chat. Killer camped, call him names. Killer slugged, dox yourself in pure rage, and yes, that last one actually happened. Survivors will say the most heinous shit because they lost a game and see nothing wrong with it. Scott Jund is enabling this lack of accountability by saying we shouldn't talk about it, because it contributes to some us versus them bonfire. It's honestly a little concerning that a large creator like Scott Jund is downplaying and ignoring the shitty behavior of one side while telling the other not to talk about it. Even weirder, when his roommate Spooks makes videos on the exact same topic. Where's the same energy for him, Mr. Scott? Shouldn't you be telling him to stop making content because of this us versus them boogeyman? Sorry for the strain, Spooks. Keep up the good work, baby bear. Love you, smooches. Don't make a video about me. Tangent aside, Scott tells me,
You're adding fuel to the fire by talking about it. Your defense is that when you complain, it's to your stream instead of to your opponent, as if that makes you better, but you're doing the same thing.
no, not even remotely. By talking about or even complaining about it to Twitter or my chat, I'm not directly seeking out my opponent to bother them with my negativity. I'm just talking about what happened in my space, or a space meant for sharing. When these people complain or even just vent in the EGC or someone's stream, they're trying to make themselves feel better by being a nuisance. The difference is the direction of your frustration, and that difference matters. It is a purely selfish act of unloading on someone to get some weird form of closure.
Actually, not everyone has a stream to vent to. Sometimes the killer might be the only person that can hear it. And, if I had to go against a meta killer with a meta build, I'd probably make fun of them too.
Damn, I actually agree with Scott here. I mean, not this Scott, but Scott nonetheless.
Things like flashlight blinds, body blocking, and even like tunneling and camping are just things built into the game and are not toxic whether you think they are or not.
Damn, you changed, Scott. Why is camping and tunneling and playing meta something you'd make fun of now? You had it right the first time. Camping, tunneling, and even slugging and playing meta are parts of the game. They're all tools meant to help win, and aren't personal. People take them that way and use them as excuses to complain or insult their opponents, but for some reason, nobody wants to talk about that. It's just,
well, if you don't like it, don't tunnel.
As if the killer somehow deserves that treatment over a playstyle. The EGC is not your therapy session, and the killer is not your counselor. Doesn't matter what happened in the game, the player on the other side doesn't deserve your toxicity. It's no wonder there's some huge us versus them issue that's got Scott's panties twisted when there's people trying to scam BetterHelp sessions out of Dead by Daylight. He actually walks us back pretty well by saying he'd just vent to his stream, which is fine, but he also says that some people only have the killer to vent to, heavily implying that he's fine with people bitching at the killer. I actually gave him credit for saying he'd only vent to his stream, but I also called him out again for defending toxic crybabies.
Look, dude, if you ring sweaty stuff and play sweaty, don't be surprised when people complain. Win your game, but complaining is normal in my opinion. I've done fewer builds just as sweaty as yours. When people complain, I just say, haha, yeah, overkill, instead of publicly making fun of them to 100,000 people.
Damn, the deflection is crazy, and for anyone curious, that's actually how you use the term. When called out for defending toxic actions, Scott just says,
well, you played sweaty, so don't be surprised.
In his delusional little brain, it's my fault when people want to cry to me because I dared to win a PvP game.
Even like tunneling and camping are just things built into the game and are not toxic whether you think they are or not.
He actually thinks that it's normal for people to whine and cry to their opponent after a loss. How is his take that it's normal to do this nonsense, but nobody should talk about it? Has Scott always been this weird? Say, Scott, what's the difference, by the way, between me tweeting about yappers and you streaming them? In both scenarios, we're publicly talking about things people do that we dislike. Actually, I hate to be this guy, but one difference is our size. I had no clue my tweet would even reach anyone. I've got 100 followers, so I'm basically tweeting into the void, while you average 500 plus viewers on Twitch. So if we're judging severity by audience size, you really should never be speaking negatively about anything ever, this included. Luckily, Audience size doesn't matter, and neither does reach outside of the obvious factor of being noticed. What matters is the substance of the message. My message was that it's weird for survivors to cry about the way killers win, despite wanting to win themselves. Clearly, given my small Twitter following, that message resonated with a lot of people because it gained a lot of traction. It didn't blow up because people just hate survivors or because of some us versus them bullshit. It blew up because there's tons of killers just like me that experience nonsense reactions from survivors because of how we played. When people bitch at you, you say it's overkill and move on. Great. When people bitch at me, I let them have at it and I get content out of it. Also great. Neither of those things changes the fact that nobody should be bitching at anybody over how they played a video game. That's the entire point of my tweet, and pretty much every video I make. I showcase that behavior because it is exactly what not to do after a match. And yes, to the people that say I rage bait insult form, that applies even if someone is trying to elicit a certain reaction from you. They shouldn't be doing that, but you are responsible for your own actions, and you don't have to take the bait.
Well, this guy wants me to get mad, so I should get mad and say shitty things. Oh, that'll show him.
Do you see how stupid that is? If someone is baiting you, that's on them. Anything you do after taking it is on you. You'll be a lot happier if you just ignore it.
Well, the difference is I'm actually not bringing sweaty shit, so I'm not a hypocrite. Your build and playstyle is sweatier than anything the survivors brought, by the way.
Scott, the debater, John, the ladies and gentlemen. Those heels are dug in deep. Why are you so caught up on how hard anyone is sweating? Builds and playstyles don't matter. What matters is nobody should be acting out towards the other side just because of what they brought or how they played, especially when they bring meta shit themselves. Justifying other people acting like assholes because someone played to win makes you an asshole too, by the way. And for the record, borrowed time is actually pretty strong right now. Resilience is good too. I will die on that hill below me. But, Scott, one question. How am I a hypocrite? I never said anything about their builds, I just used them as an example of them wanting to win.
Oh, fine. I'll rescind it. You're not a hypocrite, but what was the point of your first post then? Why is it worth posting someone complaining because they wanted to win against someone that also wanted to win?
Yo, sick, another classic Scott Jun pivot. I'll bite though. The point is that people who wanted to win got upset enough at someone who also wanted to win that they cried and whined when there was no call for it. They just had to push their negativity on someone else instead of keeping their nonsense to themselves. It's worth sharing to showcase the bad behavior, and to hopefully get people to realize they shouldn't do shit like that. Wait a minute, hang on. Is this you?
Mr. Why are you sharing bad stuff people do?
Sharing bad stuff people do? If you're gonna share something, share whatever the fuck you're smoking, Scott. What logic makes it okay for you to bring up bad behavior, but bad when I do it? Kinda crazy that you ask if I'm trying to be disliked, when you've been an insufferable asswipe throughout our entire interaction, by the way.
It's not weird to complain that you had a miserable experience against someone sweating. Actually, it's weirder to play like that than be shocked that people don't like it.
Alright. If it's normal to complain to your opponent, then it's normal to share that interaction, so you have no point. Of course, it's not normal to complain to someone for beating you, but Scott's too worried about some us versus them narrative to realize that. I do think it's weird, though, that he thinks sweating isn't toxic, but also thinks it's fine to complain about those non-toxic actions.
Body blocking and even like tunneling and camping are just things built into the game and are not toxic whether you think they are or not.
You know what is toxic, though? Playing to win, and bitching at the other side for beating you. You played it good, but I played it better, and if it went a different way, I'd just say GG and go next. But these people have to get some dig or passive-aggressive remark in because losing is just too much for them to handle. Sorry, but that's weird, and it's weird that you think it isn't. It's normal to be upset after a loss, but it is not normal to take it out on the person that beat you. If you want to be mad at someone, be mad at yourself for not being good enough to get the win that you wanted. I gotta be honest, Scott. Defending impotent rage is such a disappointing hill for you to die on. Kudos for finally walking back the hypocrite statement, though. Credit where it's due. I called him on the pivot since he never answered why it was okay for him to stream about things that happened to him, but not for me to tweet about things that happened to me. He never actually got back to me, though. But after his recent tweet about his YouTube comments, I'd like to alter my question. Mr. Scott Jund, why is it okay for you to tweet about stuff that happens to you, but not for me to tweet about stuff that happens to me? Why is yours worth sharing and mine isn't? I hate to say this, Scotty boy, because I had higher hopes for you, but you are a debate-brained loser arguing just to be right on a situation you didn't even bother to fully look into. You saw the same pretty circles as the rest of Twitter and opened your big mouth because you assumed I was complaining about builds. Then you sat there and pivoted your point time and time again just so you could try to win some argument you made up in your head. It took an hour for you to finally stop trying to die on that hill that I'm a hypocrite, when all you had to do was pay attention to the actual message of the tweet. There didn't even have to be an argument. No sane person thinks you should get talked down to over a playstyle, but why engage with my actual message when you can just jump on the meta killer with meta build bad, haha, bandwagon? Credit where it's due, again, you did own up that you shouldn't have called me a hypocrite, but everything else was just nonsense. The whole thing felt pretty out of character from the Scott Jundai. I guess I don't really know you. Well, I guess I know you a little better after this impromptu debate you wanted to have on Twitter, but I gotta say, the Scott Jund I met seems like an entitled little prick that'll downplay bad actors just to protect his precious narrative. I think the funniest part of my tweet is that Scott and a lot of others were fighting Ghost in the replies. Haha, you play Vecna and run meta and you're crying about meta builds? I'm genuinely concerned about the lack of media literacy going on in the DVD community. Look at this. Not a single one of these morons understood the message. They just saw pretty circles and thought, wait, he's bad about the builds? You guys gotta get off Twitter and read a book or something, especially the ones that prove my point. Like this person, who saw that I'm a meta enjoyer and wants someone to shoot me for it. Even as a joke, what the fuck are you talking about, Jesse? This creature especially needs to log off for about a week or 40. So many comments just proved my point over and over and over. Especially on another tweet I made where I actually commended survivors for not showing their asses after I slugged. It was non-stop insults because I slugged. Like this person calling me a kid-loving pig. Or this one calling me a prick. Or this one calling me an absolute festering pile of shit. Or this one calling me an incel. Wait, I shouldn't be talking about this because it'll add fuel to this us versus them fire. Sorry, Scott, I'll do better. People are way too comfortable treating killers like shit for just playing the game. And yes, according to Scott Junt himself, tunneling and camping are just playing the game.
Body blocking and even like tunneling and camping are just things built into the game and are not toxic whether you think they are or not.
This pervasive and disgusting attitude towards your opponents in a PvP game needs to change, because it's genuinely pathetic for adults to act like this over losing. It's even worse to justify or ignore it for the arbitrary reason of someone violating some made-up rulebook that even the devs do not believe in. Sometimes, having fun in a PvP game means the other side will have less. It's the nature of the beast, and whoever wins isn't a bad person for doing so. I get that being tunneled out and slugged isn't fun, but understand that getting looped for 5 gens or having people camping pallets for saves isn't fun either. Complaining about certain tactics or insulting the other side for using them is just disgusting. It's weird and entitled and toxic to try and make sure the other side knows what a bad time you had. If winning is the main lever for fun, then PvP games almost require one side to have less fun than the other. You hopped on to try to win, which carries with it the risk of losing. As bad as losing feels, you accepted that risk when you hit play, so stop complaining to your opponent about how he beats you. It's the world's most pathetic guilt trip. And Scott, you gotta stop enabling this bullshit just because calling it out adds fuel to some us versus them issue. If the issue is really that bad, it seems to me that it could be due to idiots lashing out over a loss to a playstyle or a build. If their behavior never gets brought to light, they'll never have a reason to change it. Let's get a little perspective. Complaining and insulting others is way worse than tunneling or camping or slugging. Watching you downplay and justify that toxic behavior, just because a killer plays sweaty, was disgusting, and I genuinely did not expect you to be a contributor to DVD's toxicity problem. Then again, I didn't expect Albie and Quadi to be bug-abusing shitheads, nor did I expect their girlfriends and dog epitome to bend over backwards to defend them. This goes to show you don't really know who's behind the screen. Killers, tunnel, slug, and camp as much as you want. There is zero shame in it. Playing to win is not a crime, and you are not a bad person for doing so. DVD is not co-op, and survivors are not on your team. Your role is to kill them by any means necessary, so don't let anyone gaslight you into feeling bad about playing to win. And, for the record, if you just want to goof off and give hatch, no shame in that either. That goes for survivors too. We all bought this PvP game, so bring what you want and play how you want. And anyone that has a problem with you doing that can go fuck themselves. If you're treating your opponents like shit over how they played, stop that pointless nonsense. Saying GG and going next is easy, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. You don't have to let a game ruin your day, and you don't have to take your frustration out on your opponent. Unless they do it first. Then fuck it. Get down to the mud and play with that little picky all you want if you're so inclined. The real secret to DBD is that there are no sides, just people. Some of these people treat others like shit because they're sore losers, or even sore winners. If you're one of them, please realize it's not that deep, as soon as you can. Also, rage baiting is not real. Stop using it as a reason to crash out. If someone is trying to make you react negatively, or piss you off, you don't have to take the bait. Even if they want you mad, anything you say or do in retaliation is still on you. Escalating it makes you just as much of an asshole, so don't give them that power. All you have to do is ignore it and go next. That's about all I had to say. Sub to the channel if you like what I do, and follow me on twitch.tv/MrSantastic, where I stream Friday through Sunday from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. And I better see you over there. Now, I did promise you the entirety of both games, so I'm going to let the rest of Game 2 play out so you can hear the absolute malice that I had for the survivors. Hope you enjoyed the last few minutes of the game, and I will leave the Twitter threads in the description. Bye-bye! Maybe I can. Oh, I can't. My eyes. Oh, my eyes. My little retinas. You got me right in the red Nazi. Oh, I didn't get quite close enough to block that. Doesn't matter though, cause I'm the goat, and you're the dope. I'm the. I don't know.
Die by my hand.
Ooh, that's a lot of people actually. I want to go here.
Join the hunt. From the dark.
There's not a single person that can rescue, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, someone can rescue. Someone can rescue. Dead hard. This guy just dipped. Say goodbye to Nancy, Ada.
Impossible geometry.
What the huh? What the why did I just get stunned? What? How the hell did they do that? I just got like randomly stunned for a second after I downed someone. What the ligma?
All things.
Oh, give me my artifact, bitch. I'm gonna make Ada watch as I take it from you. Where the fuck do you think you're going, Ada? Back in the pile, bitch.
Was you good, Samurai Jack?
Your tail ends here.
Back in the pile.